Probably not.
Remember it was a long bus ride when I was playing baseball there.
Not ordinary cars, but like more towards Fredonia and Western area.
Yeah.
For you.
I haven't been there lately, but I think some
Really?
So I can breathe.
Maybe they'll come through.
past.
I had to renew that every couple of years.
Yeah.
Which is
It
nice.
actually probably is fine if I don't ever want to play sports, I don't have to travel around.
So I'm going to call this meeting to order.
Sound effects?
Yeah, in there. So I hate to disappoint you all, but I do not have a quote tonight, so I'm sorry. You know, I forgot to look, so it's my
That's
fault. But anyways, I would like us to take a moment to say a silent prayer or a moment of personal reflection. I mean, hopefully everyone
Are
will
we getting your echo?
get muted here.
We're getting your echo.
A lot of extraneous
We're
noise.
getting an echo.
I thought it was.
Okay.
I would like to offer a quote, Mary.
Would you? Okay, we'll wait till we're done with our moment of reflection. and
Sure,
then
I'm sorry.
I will have you offer a quote then in my place. Go ahead, it's your quote.
My quote is, real change, enduring change happens one step at a time. You know who said that?
You just
Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Nice. Very nice.
attaboy.
Very nice. I like that. That was excellent. I'm glad I didn't have one because you did. So that's awesome. John, Mr. Bartimol, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Let me reintroduce myself to everybody.
You're a man of wealth and taste.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Gentleman to my right is Ira Katz.
Yes, I am so excited to see the both of you here. Welcome. This is the first time that we have had, and Andrew's not here, but he'll be here pretty soon, that we've had our entire board together in one place. Well, since I became president, which was the 1st of July, and you know, of course, we were all out for a bit there. So this is just wonderful. Wonderful, makes my heart feel good. So I need a motion to approve our agenda for this evening.
So moved.
Thank you, John
Second.
and Jim. Is there any discussion?
We may have another resolution depending on what transpires in the executive session.
Okay, all right. Is there any other discussion on the agenda for this evening? Okay, so I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We've now come to the public comment regarding agenda items section of our meeting for this evening. I just want to remind everyone that the public is invited to speak about items on the agenda. The Board of Education has allotted 15 minutes for public comment. Each individual can speak for 3 minutes. The board can vote to increase the 15-minute maximum if it wishes. The following are not permitted: comments that involve personalities, comments about the performance or the conduct of individual staff members, or comments about specific and/or confidential student-related issues. Individuals may request to have an item for discussion placed on the agenda. The request should be submitted in writing to our district clerk, Mrs. Arizari, no later than noon on the Wednesday prior to each meeting. Having said that, we do have someone too that are going to speak to us tonight. It's Nicole and Troy Nolan, and they have some public comments on the reopening of schools. Yes, you do. No, you can, but can she, yeah, so she can. Yeah, that way then everyone will hear you. Yeah. Nicole, it's very nice to meet you
Thank
too.
you. Thank you for having me. I would like to thank Vicky, who I spoke with very candidly on the phone, and she gave me a lot of information that I was not aware of, and I learned a lot. So I would like to thank Vicky and several school board members for helping me navigate the process of speaking at a school board meeting. Your time, patience, and active listening are appreciated. Let's start from the beginning, summer of 2020, when a task force was established to help determine an approach for school to be held in 2020-2021. I can't help but wonder how the process went for choosing parents, teachers, etc. for the task force. How were parents picked? Was it a lottery? Did the district only ask seasoned teachers and those who already knew would agree to your agenda? Rumor is the Olean Area School District already knew what they had decided. The task force was just created for smoke and mirrors. I have no proof of such rumor, or do I? For the past approximate 10 months, parents have been repeatedly asked in emails and letters sent home to be patient as we work through the COVID-19 pandemic together. I gave the benefit of the doubt, and I know many parents who have too. September and October, all learning curves for all of us, right? I think you would agree on that. November and December, let's shut down school, all remote learning. January 19th, let's go back to the hybrid model. This is the time where benefit of the doubt became frustration, unanswered questions, observing the lack of preparedness from our school district, and more of the same. Please remain patient, parents, student, teachers, and staff. My husband wrote Mr. Moore, whom is a very nice gentleman. I've spoken with him on several occasions. I called the school asking, has there been any discussion pertaining to children returning to in-person teaching instruction? Now, mind you, I waited to do this until after January 18th, Martin Luther King Day. Waited, because I abided by the letters and the emails asking me to be patient. I asked, have there been any discussion pertaining to children returning to in-person teaching instruction? It was explained to me that discussions had just started, and I quote, just started, but not to get my hopes up, as there was no specific timeline outlined. And spacing, as in the 6-foot mandate, was the elementary school's largest hurdle. If the 6-foot mandate was lifted or went to 3 feet, well, that would change a lot. I think we can agree on that, right? It was lifted, and guess what? It changed nothing. Nothing. I still had an 8-year-old at my home amongst many other parents who could stand here before you and tell you stories that are beyond the word brutal. A child who is an immense amount of joy and who loves school, but has no interest in learning from an iPad. 0 interest. The struggle became so difficult that I said, time out. This is not enjoyment. This is not education. And I can tell you, speaking from several teachers who will remain unnamed because I did not ask for permission to share, that it was just as brutal for them, if not worse. But does it really matter? I mean, brutality, we can all look at what brutality is, right? It's as if there was no need to come before and speak earlier because the agenda had already been made. And if I disagreed with it or other parents disagreed with it, it didn't matter. More robocalls, more declarations to remain patient, and then the final letter I received as a parent of 2 children in the Olean School District made me question if I, we, the community, had been fooled, bamboozled, completely ignored. Do you know bamboozled means to declare or to deceive, excuse me, by underhanded methods? It means to deceive by underhanded methods. The administration of the Olean Area School District had months of no person instruction from students to have a better plan of action after January 18th, Martin Luther King Day. The way I see it, the Olean Area School District had their methods, and that's how it was going to be. The final letter I'm referring to is the one sent to all parents regarding how the Olean Area School District will begin transitioning kids back to school, but only for 4 days of instruction. This isn't written on my paper, but I feel it very important to make this clear. I'm a stay-at-home mother, and my husband is a deputy sheriff for Cattaraugus County. I do not use this district as a babysitter for my children's education. I want to be as involved as possible. And my mistake in all of this, my mistake, was not speaking out sooner. That's my number one mistake. And I did it for a couple reasons. Well, I mean, this isn't like the most exciting place to be standing, right? I mean, talking about negative things, as I'd love to praise all of the teachers that I witnessed in my time of just having children attend here. I mean, it's a little intimidating too, right? And besides, I had to talk to 3 people before I even knew when the school board meeting was, which I'll get to that in just a minute. In a nutshell, the staggering of students would take place based on each child's academic need. Wait a second, what? I was, and still am, perplexed. And these thoughts are coming from a mom who has a child in a special education classroom, who attends Washington West through BOCES. So yes, I do feel I have a position to question that this school district chose to send back children based on their academic need. This district immediately, in my opinion, looked lazy, never took into consideration of the social and emotional impact of non-struggling academic students. Besides, wasn't it enough for this district to see what remote learning had and has done for our children? Is this district aware of the day-to-day struggle remote learning took on any student, no matter their race, social status, learning credits, etc.? Have administration reached out to parents and listened to their nonstop struggle from a parent-child remote learning environment? I'll tell you, no one's asked me. It's been brutal. The remote learning, the hybrid models, the time off from in-person, I stayed patient. I did what I was asked to do. But that doesn't mean the model approach this district already had planned regardless, in my opinion, made getting through any easier. This district abruptly cut the needs of our kids and still expected them to perform without any real resources. An iPad is not a resource, folks. You did the same to parents and teachers, now present day. It's obvious the surveys sent by the school district were more smoke and mirrors. As a parent, I've made the greatest mistake though, not speaking up sooner. And that's the truth, that's on me. Has it ever occurred to the district why more parents don't attend school board meetings or use the public comment time? As a school district, school board meeting dates, times, etc. should be sent home with each student. Email the parent, robocall, put on the school website so all information can be easily found. This district, if it hasn't already, will be given money from the CARE Act due to the COVID pandemic. It should be the school's #1 priority to let the public taxpayers know how this money will be used. Does the school district plan to use it to incentivize teachers, as the research shows their workload at the return of the next school year will likely triple? It will most likely be December, if not much later, before the teachers that care have their students back on their feet with legs and all. Does this district plan to offer trainings for teachers, staff on how to transition based on all that has been lost? Does the district plan to hire more staffing and offer tutoring services for any child that wants, needs, requires it? Does the district plan to provide social and emotional support to any child that needs it, and furthermore, families? Does the district plan to use any of the money, if the act allows, to improve infrastructure? Just by observation, it's clear to me Washington West could benefit from air conditioning, a full upgrade to the gym, doors painted, a covering to the main entrance as parents stand outside, waiting in all types of weather conditions for the children to be dismissed. This district now has the summer break to establish a much better plan going into the next school year. Let's get the masks off these kids, teachers back to full-time instruction, limit the electronic time of instruction, and focus more on in-person. Let's examine why our school district doesn't have more parents involved in the belief that their voice matters. When your school looks presentable, the public takes notice. When your teachers are incentivized, praised, able to teach, they perform at their best. When the community feels like their voice matters, growth can be observed, and it would be. We are the Olean School District, and we can do much better than we have for this school year. Administration, teachers, staff, parents, we are going to have to roll up our sleeves and really get to work starting the next several months. There will be no sliding by. Because you see, the thing about time is you can't make it up, but you can better manage it. I can't help but echo Mrs. Kelly Keller's observation. This district had every opportunity to get our children back to in-person full-time instruction for the past 6.5 weeks. Numerous ideas on how to make the move happen were clearly outlined. It all fell on deaf ears. Simply stated, this district had the opportunity to right their wrongs, correct mistakes, give the kids a taste of full-time instruction before sending them off for the summer. I can only hope, pray, this district will start the next chapter in September better than they're going to leave it in June. Thank you very much for your time. I do appreciate the service that you provide for the school district.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments. So we are now going to outline some commendations that we have, correct, Mr. Moore?
Sure. Just want to make sure that we recognize and congratulate the following students that have been accepted into the Regina A. Quick Center for the Arts Middle High School Juried Art Digital Exhibition. That would be middle school student Dresden Comstock. In addition to acceptance into the digital exhibition, Dresden was awarded honorable mention for the felt work Untitled. So congratulations to Dresden. And the high school, Adrian Ross and Lydia Bryant. Congratulations to those. And if you look outside of the auditorium, there's some beautiful artwork. And I know Kelly's here tonight, and I want to thank her very much for updating that. It's phenomenal what our kids do in art. So thank you very much. A big congratulations goes out to Marina Heister on winning the Section 6 Girls Golf Championship on Monday, May 24th with a score of 78. She beat out 31 fellow competitors, winning by 4 strokes. She has put a ton of hard work, and I can attest to that because when I leave in the morning and I come home at night, she's out on the golf course, and the work has definitely paid off for her. She is headed to Niagara University next year and will join their golf team. So I just want to make sure that shout out to Marina Heister. I haven't seen too many kids work harder than her. She lives on the golf course. So, and not only that, she's a very, very good student. So with that said, thank you very much.
Very nice.
How's the track meet going here?
And how was the track meet going? It was going very well. Thank you. Yes. Yep. I believe Lily took first in the 100 and the 400 meter relay as well. So very nice. Now we're to our discussion item piece of our meeting, and we are going to have a capital project update by
I can help you out.
Young and Right.
Yep, Young and Wright. We have Sean Wright himself and also Mr. Cummings, Matt Cummings, and Carl Clarko from campus is here. They've been working very, very hard for us.
But we are heavily anticipating everything you have to say. I speak for all of us, I believe.
Yeah.
Who has control of that?
Do you want them to have the mics here?
He gave us these here earlier. Everyone can hear us? Okay. Well, thanks for having us tonight. It's been a very, very long time since we've seen you and been able to present any sort of progress updates. So we put together a little bit of a presentation tonight, just to kind of show you where we at on a couple of different projects that are going on right now. And I'm not sure who has control of the presentation, but.
I think Mike has it in the back.
Okay. All right, so our agenda for tonight is very simple. Matt, myself, and Carl are going to present to you the status of the current capital improvement project. We're going to go a little bit into the scope, the budget, and the schedule for that. And then we're going to follow up with an update on your current Smart Schools Bond Act project, and then we'll open it up to questions if anybody has it.
Okay, starting off with the Olean High School, just kind of to recap some of the scope that we're looking to tackle in this current
I
capital
can't.
Can you
project.
speak up a little bit?
Sure, absolutely.
Volume.
They're not going to be able to hear.
Put it real close.
Is that better? All right, thank you. So we're looking to, first of all, renovate this current auditorium. We're looking to replace the seats, the flooring, replace the stage curtains, renovate the sound booth. The next slide, what you'll see in a minute is what our proposed seating layout will look like and what that does to the overall seat count. But going back to the previous slide, some of the other scopes that we're looking at the high school include renovations to the music suite, the locker rooms, the public restrooms. We're also looking at updating the HVAC systems, upgrading the speakers for their safety ideas, and then also looking at some additional safety items like emergency lighting, replacing some of the kitchen equipment, and then also looking at some site improvements as well. Going to the next slide. All right, so right here is our proposed revised seating layout. The goal is to take the existing seats. We're currently at a little over 1,200 seats. The new seating layout gets us some wider chairs spread throughout the main level and the balcony area. The new total is just over 1,000 seats. There is a possibility of adding more to the upper balcony if we needed to. Some of the fabric options we've proposed here mimic what you see here. The next slide shows you a little bit more of a breakdown of the seats themselves. Because this is a SHPO building, we are working with SHPO to show them the revised seating layout and what the seats will look like itself. As you can see in the image A and B, those are the existing seats. The new proposed seats have a very similar look to it. We would just obviously change the fabric color to what you would see similar to D. And the end panels are metal, and they would also be very reminiscent of what is currently in the auditorium itself.
Sam,
Yes.
can we just explain for those who may not know what SHPO is?
Our friends at SHPO are State Historic Preservation Office. They like to oversee and make sure that we are conforming to the Interior Secretary of Interior standards. It is a notable building, so we need to make sure that we're following their guidelines.
Any building over 50 years old is typically considered in that realm. Some of them they don't note as being notable. Obviously, you have a very notable building, so they pay special attention to everything that we do here.
And oftentimes, a lot of the roadblocks that you face in capital projects are exactly with that SHPO. They're our friends.
We don't have any slides to show the locker rooms. It's a locker room. The music suites, we're still working with the district to finalize some of the layouts, but we're very excited about some of the progress that we've made over the last few weeks. But that kind of in a nutshell is the work that we're focusing on at the high school. The next slide, Sean's going to discuss the middle school.
Yeah, so as Matt pointed out at the middle school, we're picking up on a lot of scope, some of the scope items that were remaining from past discussions, but also providing the turf field and lights at the middle school, courtyard improvements in the play area, which we'll show you in a couple seconds here, regrouting the pool deck, upgrading the fire alarm systems, upgrading to lighting to LED and getting better emergency and strobe lights in here. And then enhancing heating and cooling and ventilation systems in various places in the building, and then also renovating the elevator, okay? On the next slide, you'll see one of the exterior site improvements. I hope everybody kind of knows where this is. The circle you see to the left there is the end of the bus loop outside of the middle school. And these are the improvements that have been proposed for what we're referring to as the middle school courtyard. This is the area that has currently been occupied between the two buildings, the pool area and the education building, is a large concrete area with an empty grass area at the end with a small playground. So these improvements include adding a treat area with some seating on the left side there, some court surfaces, and then some playground type of surfaces and equipment. This space seems to be has traditionally been heavily used to get students outside during better weather, and this will just help to promote more activity in that area as well. On the next slide, you'll see basically just your existing site here. And if you see where the little red dot is dropped there, just to the right of that large white area, that's the area that we were just looking at and heading into the playground area and upwards towards the baseball diamond there. So that's the area we were referring to. This is just an existing site so that you can also see the turf improvements that are going to be made in your complex outside of there, and that's on the next slide. So this is just at this point in time, these are the same concept renderings that were provided to the public prior to the vote. Matt and I were talking a little bit on the way down here that these were, as you can kind of see, the one on the left there was proposing just basically a multi-purpose field with certain types of lines for certain types of activities. The one on the right, the smaller image there, is just some ideas when we talked originally about whether or not, what types of sports would use this, whether football would use this as a practice facility or not. But the important part to note here is that the turf itself is what's being engineered at this point in time, along with the sidewalks and the fencing. And once we get this part submitted to the State Education Department for review, we'll be coming back to the committee and the group to start talking about the specifics. What does the logo look like on there? What size is it? What kind of lines are we really putting on the field now that we've had time to absorb this and think about it? What types of sports and activities are going to take place out here? And then we'll get into more specific discussions with the various turf vendors. There are different types of turf available out there. They're not all the same. So we'll engage with the vendors to come out and talk to us about the pros and cons of the different materials that they use for these types of facilities. And then we'll be able to bring something a little bit more final back here to the group to share with you all the findings that the committee has on how you might want to address these. On the next slide, we're going, that's it at the middle school. We're headed over to Eastview Elementary School. The scope here is much smaller. A lot of work took place in the last project at the elementary school. And in this portion of the project, we're looking to renovate the nurses suite, replace the public address and clock systems, replace some outdated cafeteria equipment, provide a new digital sign on the exterior of the building, and replace some asphalt in the recess area. You'll see that even in some of the renderings that we have for the smart schools, and provide a new elevator. And this is a new elevator addition to the building, not just renovating the existing, but actually adding a brand new elevator and elevator shaft to the building that will be ADA accessible and usable for other functions as well. So the next slide, Matt's going to talk a little bit about the improvements at Washington West.
Yes, thanks. So Washington West, similar to the previous project with Eastview Elementary, we're focusing on the core of the building itself. We're going to start with the entrance expansion for safety purposes. We're looking to also renovate the nurses and main office suites. We're renovating classrooms. We're updating the interior classroom sinks. They've had some issues in the years, just past their useful life. Looking at updating the corridor finishes, similar to what we did in Eastview Elementary as well. And again, public address and clock systems updates. We're actually looking to renovate the cafeteria auditorium area, and also looking to replace kitchen equipment. And then again, heating and system cooling updates, and then some just minor masonry repairs and stuff like that for the building itself. The next slide is our existing main entrance that everyone's aware of. Sorry, we have only snowy pictures to share with you of the existing. The next slide is what we're proposing, okay? On the left side is the existing cafetorium. The right side is where the old main entrance was. So we kind of flip-flopped it. It allows us to anchor in this dual tier canopy that helps protect from the wonderful weather that we experience in Western New York. We are proposing looking at a large Washington West sign that really establishes the main entrance. It is also designed similar to some other buildings that we've seen throughout Western New York. But the big thing that I wanted to focus on in this one is the secure entrance. On the left side, you'll see a double set of doors. That's your main student entrance exit area. There's a single door that we are designed for all guest visitors to come in through the secure entrance after school begins. The next slide is our proposed cafetorium. We want to introduce some vibrant colors. These aren't necessarily the final colors that we'll be selecting, but it's more conceptual at this time. We're looking at replacing all of the existing flooring in there, updating the furniture, and increasing the acoustics and light levels so that it's a more vibrant and fun space for the students to enjoy, not only during lunch, but throughout the course of the day and any special activities that they have. And then you'll notice in the back of the image is the existing stage itself. We're also looking at updating the stage curtains there as well. And the next slide shows you a little bit closer view of some of the ideas that we were throwing around with this multi-tiered seating area that introduces students to have the ability to just sit back and relax and just have a little bit more flexible space, but also it can incorporate into the stage area as well. Classrooms themselves, we're not really showing any pretty pictures. We haven't developed any finishes for the classrooms itself, but we are increasing storage. We're updating the flooring, updating the lighting, basically giving the classrooms a facelift, okay? The corridors themselves, we haven't finalized all of the pretty picture stuff for the corridors themselves, but those are steps that we're still undertaking with the building committee itself. And that, for the most part, wraps up the scope for the 4 buildings. Any questions at this point? Okay.
I don't know if you can answer this question, but I noticed that there is HVAC and ventilation work being done at all 4 buildings.
Yep.
That strikes me as something that is likely to be eligible for federal
Yeah.
reimbursement. Is just, you know, as a COVID safety measure. Have we thought about that? I mean, is that gonna, what I'm worried about is if we invest in the building project, that we sort of, we're double counting that money in a way.
Right.
And we're likely only to get it from one source, the state or defense.
Yeah, so I can speak to that a little bit too. So what we did was we took their list of what's already figured into the capital project. And then Mark and I went through and added additional things to the separate federal funding. And actually I asked them for an updated scope just to make sure that we weren't double dipping with those things. So there's a lot of things that have come up since we went to the voters with the scope of that project that we are now adding into the federal funding. But yeah, that's a good point because there is definitely some opportunity for overlap if we're not careful.
I believe you also had a question?
Yeah, 3. The first is the Washington West stage going to be handicap accessible.
Yeah, so we're looking at ways to make the actual stage ADA compliant. We don't want to put a giant ramp in the front of the stage, but we're working behind the house to make accessible.
Okay, thank you. The second, do all of our buildings have backup generators at this point, or if not, are those being planned?
That is a good question. I am fairly new to the school district, so I apologize that I don't have an answer for you on that one, but I believe that every building has a generator.
And the third, I like that you mentioned the roof in Washington West. Where did the runoff, where does it drain? I didn't see downspout, so I'm just asking where.
We're still working through some of those design questions, but ideally we don't want downspouts splashing in front of a main entrance. So we will be looking to maybe pitch back that upper canopy and tie into roof drains that tie into the kind of the rework of the main entrance itself, and then tie into storm structures.
Yeah, the stage that we were looking at, is that going to be a portable stage or fixed? I mean, is it going to be able to go underneath the current stage, or is that, like I said, fixed?
Right now it's fixed. The building committee has not indicated that they need that portable, but it's definitely something that we could look into making that move. It's just, I think we would have a challenge of being able to store that under the existing stage.
Because I was thinking of possibly the two outside pieces, because they're only this tall, as opposed to the middle piece. And for I don't know, spacing purposes or something, I'm just.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. If you wanted to move them around, you know,
Yeah.
like the different,
Just a
you know,
thought.
if you were putting on some kind of a performance or something like that, you know, we want to move the bigger ones to the back and, you know, any kind of staging, I would think that it would be nice to be able to move them.
Yeah, we can certainly look into what products are available and see if
Okay.
there's things out like that that can be utilized out there.
What was the flooring or the ground, I guess, at the playground at Williams? Is it mulch or is it like that new foamy stuff?
It's a poured rubberized system. We're looking to stay away from the loose mulch.
Is that going to have to be redone every 5 to 6 years or something like that?
We'll have
Or
to look-
recoded?
I don't have the specifics of the annual maintenance
Okay.
and how often it needs to be reworked, but that is definitely something that we can look into and provide.
Because we have to do that for our track, obviously, every so many years. And that would make sense that you have to look into that as well.
It's a similar type product, but it also offers you greater ability for handicap accessibility throughout your whole playground too, which is a nice feature.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, but did I see the proposed plan for the music suite? Did I miss it?
We have not provided a proposed plan. We're still working through some of the design elements. So nothing's finalized yet. And we want to make sure that the music department is okay with what we've proposed so far.
most
Yeah,
of
So
it.
we've had a few meetings in regards to that, Mary. We met Friday with them for quite a lengthy period of time as well.
I mean,
They
we
brought
had
back
X
some
amount to
proposals. The
play
music
with.
department
And
provided some of their feedback,
See what
so
they
they're
got,
going back to
'cause
the table
yeah,
now.
every time you go out and get a
They're
new
gonna
set
come
of
back to us
playground
with some more
equipment.
designs.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought that was kind of why we even waited, because we were, I feel like that's really, oh, we're gonna get to that pretty quick here.
yes,
Well, so that's
Yeah,
really the
we
last
never
piece
should
of
do
the
that.
project. But we
Okay.
want to make sure that everything
is
is exactly the way everybody wants it.
Just
So
go and
that's
get
why
it.
they're still.
Plus it's
working
more
on
Okay.
it.
tricky
Yeah.
client because it's
we were
more-
actually, we had a great meeting on Friday. We were able to tackle a lot of the concerns that
Even when we get
the
volunteers,
staff had. We
Okay.
just want to make sure that we can go back and cross our Ts, dot our Is, and come back with a finalized plan that the district can sign off on.
Okay,
And just so you know, the music department was there, you know, we're trying to take their ideas. It's a challenge though. It's an older building and there's only so much space, so we're all trying to work
Everything
together to
we
get
do.
creative.
This would be the soon-to-be new music suite.
Yes.
Okay, let's keep in mind it was a garage before, so there's gonna be a lot of figuring out how it's gonna be sound compliant and God knows what else.
I mean, anything would be an upgrade.
Hey, it's unutilized space except for parking, so we turn it in a part of our building. Hey, it's a win-win for the kids.
Do you want, I don't know if you want to field questions from the public or do you want to wait till we get?
If it's something we can answer, we sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
I teach at the middle school, and I saw that you had mentioned the ventilation system. I teach on the fourth floor and the third floor as well. It's extremely warm. And I just wondered if there was any relief insight when you had mentioned the ventilation system.
We're still working with our engineers. I don't have the exact system that they're working through. We're halfway through the design. They've come back to us with some ideas that we're still vetting through, but we're looking to alleviate some of the heating buildup that the district experiences.
And I think just so everyone here understands too, and we're going to get to the schedule slide in a few minutes. We've just reached a point where actually this week, we're going to be meeting with Campus Construction to go over what we're calling our 60% cost estimate, our design development estimate. So we do still have some time ahead of us as we're working through these
Jim.
designs.
It's feeding through to the Zoom, so. hold on.
Sorry.
That's okay. We are still working through these details as we still do have quite a bit of time ahead of us before we submit to SED. And that's where a lot of these discussions, and a lot of these are the ones that are the more challenging decisions that are taking a little bit longer for our engineers to coordinate with your folks to make sure that we're accommodating all of their needs. This slide here, I mean, Carl, I don't know if you want to talk to any of this or.
Well, just that, trying to mention, really at, we're about 60% design phase, so we're three estimates, keep us on track, keep us on budget. Brendan, what was 24.8 million. Our first estimate, basically conceptual estimate, we had design estimate. Now we have design development, which is 60%. And we will do one more estimate, which will be based on drawings with the S&P. It's on budget. So the coming next week or two, we'll be reconciling 60% estimate. Which I can tell you, and as design progresses, especially going into the S&D estimate, you know, where they will really be honing in on fine details of the overall design. Taking up that estimate. Snapshot.
And the information here is actually just still the information that was provided to the voters for the vote that talk about the portions of your project that are aidable, and also the overall proposed budget. On the next slide, I believe we have our schedule. This is where we are as of today. You'll see where it changes from light red to darker red there. We are finalizing our designs. And then we have sometime in early July, we'll be submitting our drawings to the State Education Department. The State Education Department's review periods vary depending on the time of the year and the number of projects that have been submitted, or like this past week or so, how many people they let go. And so we'll work with them to make sure that we're getting the project out of SED at a time that is best for you to put a project out for bid. Yes, sir.
How far behind are they on current projects? Because they used to be.
Actually,
pretty-
yeah, you're right. And the last time we did a project, I want to say we were in the, 12 to 14 month range for a while there. They're currently going back and forth between about 8 and 12 weeks for review. But I would say that with some of the changes that we're seeing from them, that some people have moved on. We might be looking at anywhere up to about 4 months worth of review time, I think, currently. So, and our schedule is kind of accommodating for that. It's got us bidding it in late fall. It's a perfect time so that if there is some delays from SED, we still have plenty of time to recover in that bid schedule and get it out in the early part of 2022. Once the bid takes place and we award a contract, you can see we have about 100 days in there, and Carl and his team will be working with the contractors to set up their schedules, get all their submittals in, get their materials ordered, and start construction in the summer of 2022.
Well, that's a lot better schedule than we had in previous projects, so.
And I think it's also important to note that just because it's 100 days, doesn't mean Carl and the contractors will start some of their preliminary work, second shift. But the idea is that as soon as school is out this time next year, that the major lift of construction is going to begin. And as you can see, it's going to be several summers worth of construction.
You know, right now I hear from contractors that supplies are very elevated. in price,
Tripled,
that there's,
tripled,
supply chain
quadrupled.
Problems. Are we, I mean, that seems to me, we're going out bid 6 months from now. Do you think that problem is going to be resolved?
Probably really too early. Gauge what we might see late fall next year. But I can tell you that that is something we track. We are tracking as we go. Our estimates will take that into account. That's information we have, but it's latest information we have. So we will continue to monitor that. But, so really assess what we'll see when we actually assess the bid. Manpower might actually be more of an issue.
Yeah.
than the cost of material.
That's right. Finding people.
And I also think it's good to note that if we're bidding late fall, early winter time, we're getting contracts and all the submittal processes done before the rush of everything else. And so that hopefully we can accommodate the materials that have longer lead time so that as soon as school is out, those materials are hopefully stored locally and they're ready to be installed.
I think our last slide is questions.
No, we actually wanted to just touch base on the Smart Schools Bond.
Oh,
Act.
yeah, that's right. Forgot about that one. Yes, okay, so totally different project. The Smart Schools Bond Act project, this is a bond that was put out by the state to be used for various different components, and one of them does have to do with improving your pre-kindergarten classrooms or adding pre-kindergarten classrooms. This floor plan here is the one that the committee has been working with. There was a few different proposals at different times and where we could locate this. 2 new classrooms that will be used for pre-K are going to be added to the end of the Eastview Elementary School. This is the floor plan that shows how those 2 classrooms will exist. They have a divider wall down the middle, which will allow them to be opened up if that, if it's useful for education purposes. And you'll see the new corridors there that need to be added to make sure that we're maintaining the proper exiting for the school building. If you move to the next slide, you'll see this is the location of where the classrooms are going. Just to show you that it's out near that corner there, and that's kind of, I don't think we have an overall of this area, but it does demonstrate that area. And then the sidewalks that'll go on the outside of the building in front of it. In the next slide, I think all of this becomes a little bit more clear as to where we're talking about. This is the design that was chosen for the 2 classroom addition at the end of that wing. And we've, working with the committee, chosen a design that kind of matches the current architectural style of the building with the pitched roofs, the brick, the darker mullions and glass, and extending that kind of, I would say, play/exit area out in front of the classrooms there. And I think we might have a couple of other images that go from different angles on the next couple of slides. There's just kind of a human scale view of the classroom addition.
That's Mr. Crawford standing out in front of there, by the way.
Were there bathrooms in those classrooms?
Yes, yeah, they're pre-K classrooms. So the size is kind of dictated by the state education department, but they will also have a sink in them and they'll also have bathrooms in them.
And we are definitely getting the 2, right? Because literally, this has been going on. This is absolutely bananas how long. And I've been on the board 5 years, and we were talking about it when I first got on. At that time, we were going to be having 4, and we did a little, I don't know what we did. But anyways, and we got down here to 2. Now, nobody's coming back to tell me that now we can't afford the 2 and we're going to 1, right? That's 2, guaranteed 2, got 2. Holy
It's
cow.
2.
Jeez, oh man. Maybe in 10 years, we might get the smart bond money spent for grape's sakes and get these rooms up here. You know what I'm saying?
Smart bonds are always a process, and when you lump them with a capital project,
Oh,
it's
and
difficult.
I don't know. We could have done something.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
the
a
smart schools-
sidewalk along the end of the building connecting that back parking, well, I guess it's like
That other
That-
parking lot, that other,
the back
Yeah.
blacktop to the front blacktop. I mean, your picture shows grass.
Yeah, there'll actually be blacktop, I think,
Yeah,
connected.
our renderings don't always depict the site features all that well. We,
so I
we,
can't tell.
as architects, focus on the building, unfortunately, sometimes a little too much. But you can kind of see in this plan, we're looking to connect the sidewalks around the building itself. This is also kind of critical for how we're dealing with paving in the capital project as well, because we are doing some actual asphalt replacement in the capital improvement project. So we're carefully coordinating those so that they work together, but also aren't reliant upon one another to be finished.
These projects may be done at 2 different times, depending on the approval process for smart schools, which is different than your capital improvement project.
Okay. It just would make, I mean, that's the school I go to the most, and
Yep.
that's where I come in, and it just makes sense to connect it to me, but I mean,
Yep.
I pretty frequently walk through that.
Where are
area.
you, what are you connect, what are you trying to connect to?
So like, see that black area in the back?
You want it to go all the way out to that, to
No,
the,
just like a sidewalk area.
Just a
that would
sidewalk around
wrap
the end of the
around
building.
this
Around the
edge.
end.
on the outside edge of it?
Yeah.
Yep.
What you're saying?
Yeah, like, I mean,
It's there.
okay,
It will
Yeah,
be
it
there.
will be there.
Like I said,
Doesn't
Connect
show
the
it in the
front to
picture, but-
back.
just looks like grass.
So essentially, somebody could go all the way around.
Right.
Plow all the way around. There'll have to be some playground replacement stuff there, because we will have to take that out,
Playground's going.
maybe a tree.
Maybe a tree or 2. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? I know when you said that,
This stuff is pretty.
I was
excited
thinking,
about
it's coming there. I look back at you, like, yeah, there you go.
We will, we'll try to come back and report on some of the new stuff as we get it.
Excellent.
That'd be great.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Super excited about that auditorium. I know. So nice. Okay, so now we only have one committee report. Don't everybody get too excited. We have the safety committee meeting report.
I can do that really rapidly, I believe. So we met and mainly discussed the, it's called the COPS grant, which is, I'll let Jenny, what does that acronym stand for
The
again?
COPS grant, it's the COPS School Violence Prevention Grant that we are working on.
And we haven't received it yet.
Nope, so
That's what
we're
hoping.
working on that. If you recall, the board approved a contract with a grant writer a few months back. So Jen Mahar and Mike and I have been working diligently with the grant writer, and the application will be in later this month. We are anticipating approximately a $500,000 grant. We'll primarily focus on new security cameras along with some other security updates as well. As soon as we have the entire thing done, we will bring that back to everybody and share with you. Fingers crossed. It's a big grant.
That's big. Yeah, that's nice.
What is the duration of the grant?
I believe we have 3 years, right? 3 years to expend the funds.
And what sort of personnel would we be hiring?
No personnel.
No personnel?
No personnel. It's all security improvements for the facilities. Cameras, emergency response systems. For instance, if your building has to go into lockdown, you know, there's mechanisms where you hit a button and the police are notified, your building's in lockdown, an emergency alert goes out, things of that nature. The gentleman who is writing the grant is actually a retired state trooper. He also was a school resource officer for a very large school and also assisted after the Sandy Hook shooting as well. So he's written many grants and he has a lot of experience in this particular field.
When we get a chance to see what we're asking for before, I mean, I hate to ask for money for particular things and then later have problems with what we're asking for. And I bring that up in particular because some of the security things can be sort of invasive with privacy, and I just want to make sure that we know what we are.
Yep, so I have it, I also have it on the agenda for the Audit and Finance Committee next week. And what I'll do is I'll have a more specific scope for you guys at that point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we did discuss that in building and grounds today as well too. So most of it, it's going to be, a lot of it's going to be used for replacement of cameras.
But that's fine. I mean, I just think that we should know. Sure.
All right, and then Brian mentioned the parking on Spring Street will change. We've worked with the city. That'll be a wonderful thing for people at Eastview to drop children off. So they're switching the side that you can park on. And Brian's been working on this for, I think, a few years at least. And so now it's going to be a wonderful thing. We want to thank the city for helping us with that. The district safety plan was reviewed again. It says, and as you know, we reviewed it at the last meeting. And then parking, pavement, striping of OIMS was discussed. And that is going to be done this summer. And there is a need for repanelizing. Like I said, we're going to redo all the parking lots, just paint, tar and paint, not redo the whole thing. So, and that was the end of the meeting.
Good.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. I need a motion to accept the following consent agenda. Oh, thanks, Ira. I haven't heard from you in person here, and so I was like, who was that? Who said that? Janine, you seconded it? Thank you. Is there any discussion? So seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion is carried. Now we're up to Mr. Moore. You're back on again for your superintendent's report.
Yeah, just real quick, I don't have a ton of stuff, but I will just bring you up to date that we've been working on the banners again this year, and I'm on my way home for dinner, and there they are. They're up, and they look awesome, and that'll be a great night. Just refresh your memory, that is on the 20th, it's Sunday, Father's Day, 7 o'clock, so rev up your cars. Anyways, it'll be good. It'll be a lot of fun. Also, I see right here too, I just want to mention the English department does this each year, and I want to thank them. We have a literary journal and some nice artwork, and it takes a lot of time, and I appreciate them getting those to us. Thank them very much. We saw the Soapbox Derby was this past weekend. I think we have now like 7 cars. So I want to thank Mrs. Gabler, Evelyn Sabina, of course, and Mr. Bob Sherburne is amazing. Like, he gets no money or anything like that. He just dedicates his time to that. And I guess the kids did very, very well. And it's a whole day over at Jamestown.
Yeah,
The mayor went and decided that we got to get that in Olean. So that might be a new event. So that was awesome too. You know, I think also too, just I know it's a little outdated, but Memorial Day, I want to thank again our band for performing at the Memorial Day.
Our chorus,
This is- Yep,
same.
of course, yep.
Yep.
And with that said, there's a lot going on. Nick just showed me, you know, he's going to do Shakespeare in the Park, and there's going to be a program for students, and I'll get this out to you guys. It's hot off the press. We're pretty excited about grades 3 through 12. In Oak Hill, he's done this before. And once again, with COVID and everything going on, he wasn't sure he's going to be able to pull it off, but Nick got on it and he's going to do it. So that's good. With that said, I think Jenny, I'm going to turn over some time to Jenny because we were asked if we could discuss a little bit how we're going to spend the CARES and stimulus. So Jenny's going to go through that.
So Jen Mahar and I are gonna, at one of our meetings, I think it was yesterday, we were asked to provide a little more detail on what we intend to spend the federal stimulus funds on. There's 2 rounds of federal stimulus money coming. So the first one is what we refer to as CRSA, or sometimes known as Carissa funds. The second round will be ARP funding. The second round is not up yet. That application is not out. We are not applying for that yet. So what Mr. Martello's provided on the screen for us and what you have in front of you is just the first round of funding. Now, this is due June 15th. Jen Mahar is very diligently working on this application as well. So in front of you, you'll see there's 2 years of funding for this grant. We apply for it all in the beginning. So our CRSA funds, or ESSER 2 is what it's also commonly known as, will be $2,880,325. There are, I believe, 15 different categories, 15 or 13, 15 categories that they have to fall within, that we can provide the funding for. So going down the list, academic summer school, as you can see, we have a very large amount of funding allocated for summer school. What we need to do now is make sure that we have the staffing and the plan to move forward with that. We did have the opportunity to meet with the OTA a few times last week. We're pretty excited about moving forward with some options with them. They've been great to work with, brainstorming what we can do for the summer. We also have enrichment summer school, and the reason we have that on 2 different lines is one is more academic based, the other is more enrichment opportunities. But as we know, bringing kids back isn't all about just academics. There are some social emotional pieces to that. And quite honestly, there's some things that aren't necessarily, a letter grade and this and that. Some of it is more related to the arts. We've got some great ideas there as well. Moving down the list, you'll also see after-school programs. We do have a huge amount built in for after-school programs. We also are coupling with the YMCA. I know they're looking at a grant opportunity as well. So if they're successful in achieving that, we would run this in addition to that. Expanded AIS. You know, again, this could happen at various times throughout the day. Home to school liaison or a family engagement coordinator. Quite honestly, we anticipate some issues coming back next year. It is not going to be seamless and not going to be everybody wanting to come back and encouraging. You know, we're going to struggle with some. There are some that are going to have an adjustment coming back.
Well, we struggled with that prior
Yeah.
to this. So now that they
Yep.
have been off and they haven't been,
Yes.
it's going to be a major adjustment for these kids
Yep.
and teachers and
Yeah.
staff and everybody.
So what we want is an individual to assist us in maybe reaching out to those kids or to those families. And it may mean, you know, some home visits. It may mean, you know, making a trip to the house in the morning. It could mean a lot of things.
Jen,
We're still working through a lot of these things.
do we already do something like that through community schools also? I feel like in Nick's presentation earlier in the year, he
There
mentioned that.
was a small thing in Jen can probably speak to it.
We currently have a homeschool liaison at the elementary and the younger level, and they tend to have a very good caseload and not able to.
I think we can hit them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jen, I'm sorry. Question. Given that this will pick up some of the costs of summer school,
Mhm.
generally, aren't those costs from our operating budget? And so will we be freeing up some money in our operating budget that had been earmarked for summer school?
Yes, so we do have a considerable amount in our operating budget. When we were finalizing the budget, I left that in there because at this time, we weren't sure when this funding was going to be available. And we wanted to make sure that there was enough for some type of a program in the summer months. So we really have the option of either pulling that out and using all of this and earmarking the general fund for something else, or depending on the magnitude of what we can do, using both
Maybe
pots of
it's
funding.
more robust.
Yes. Yep. Please ask questions though, whenever you have them, that's fine.
And AIS is academic intervention.
Yes, academic intervention services, correct. We're also looking at the addition of 4 teaching assistants. The teaching assistants that you have previously approved the creation of, those are primarily focused at the elementary for math. We would like to expand this. And you see 4 teaching assistants in the ESSER 2 first round of funding. Going forward, we do anticipate there to be a bigger need for those positions moving forward. We really think there's a lot of additional things that can happen at the high school level as we look at, you know, our population of special education students and what as well, and where we send them to and what programs they go to. I think there's a need for teaching assistants there as well.
So to be clear, we approved the creation of 4 positions at the last meeting.
Yeah.
Would these be in addition to that or?
Correct. Yes,
Okay.
those would be in addition to that. And again, keep in mind, this is our working document right now. This has not been submitted for final approval. It has not been submitted to the state. It has to go in by June 15th. We also are looking at some social emotional curriculum and PD. You know, this can impact both students and adults. And again, I think this is an area that as we move along in probably September, we will have a much better idea of what magnitude that really truly needs to be. But we do feel that this is a good starting point for us right now.
I'm a little concerned about how small that number is compared to other things on that list.
Good point.
Because I think we're gonna be in a hole pretty deep for social and emotional development. coming out of this pandemic.
I know that BOCES will provide, they provide a lot. I signed up for a bunch of stuff this summer to attend. But I have to agree with Andrew. That might be an area where we want to focus a little bit more, only just because I truly think we're going to.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
Good
Okay.
point, John. So this is a $2.8 million pot of federal funding.
Mhm.
The third round, as Jen talked about, or what I refer to as the ARP funding,
Mhm.
that is $6.4 million. So we will be developing a plan for that next, and these are the exact things that we would put into there. And again, that's 3 years versus this being 2 years, but they will run
Piggyback.
right next to each other. They'll run simultaneously.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. ACT and SAT prep for particularly at our high school. Again, this may be small. But again, we have to gauge what need there is for that. And this is definitely an area that we can increase. We hope that we get that demand and we have to increase it really. English position and history position. So if you may recall in our general fund budget, we originally took out an English and a history position based on current enrollment figures and projections. Again, as we look at potentially bringing some more students back and some additional options for students for special education programs, we are looking at reinstating these positions. Keep in mind, this is temporary funding. So we either have to figure out a way to move these positions into our general budget at the end of the 2 or 3 year period, or positions have to go away. One additional thing to keep in mind is, if you recall, we are supposed to be fully funded for foundation aid within 2 years. We're talking $1 million extra per year for the district. So if that comes to fruition, a lot of these positions, we can put back into the general fund.
Well, how many years is the state behind in those payments?
A lot of years.
Today.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a critical aspect of it.
Yep. So we're looking at all of these factors going forward. Again, enrollment will drive a lot of positions anyway. So we have to pay close attention to what our enrollment is in 3 years. Air handling and facility improvement. We have a lot of them. Mark and I have been working on this. We are continuing to gather some information. So while we have $213,000 earmarked here, it will be much larger than that because of the timing of this and because of the fact that we have to have this in by June 15th. The additional improvements that we have to make will take place in that third round of funding.
That you can't really tie this into the capital project, can you?
We've already the scope of the project and what the voters approved
Right.
has to go there.
Okay.
At this point, we don't want to switch that up too much. So what we did is we took their list of what they're doing, and then we said, okay, what else do we need to do? And that list that is not in the capital project we'll be doing.
So we'll have to do that ourselves or contract out or use.
It's a combination of both. There are
All right.
some things that Mark and his crew can do. And when we referenced them being extremely busy earlier in the Buildings and Grounds Committee, that's part of the reason, because we're anticipating them doing some of these projects. Some of them will have to be contracted out.
All right. Well, 213 is not a big number for air handling and.
It's not just air handling. So let me give you a
And
quick
so-
idea. When the question was asked earlier about the generators. So we have generators, but what we're finding, and I preface this with saying I am no maintenance person by all means. There's a main electrical switch that we actually have to replace. So if you've ever been in this building and the lights, the electricity goes out, the generator comes back on, but then there's this awful delay sometimes. And when the electric comes back on, it doesn't really come back on. So we actually have this main electrical switch replacement that we need to do that's about $56,000. That impacts our technology drastically. If, and keep in mind, this funding is meant so that if we ever get into this situation again, we're better prepared.
Okay,
And going forward, if we've got 2,100 kids dependent on technology, we need electric. We need wireless networks. We need all that. So part of that is making sure that our infrastructure is up and better. So that's one thing. Some sidewalk repairs, I know we question that a little bit, like how does this have to do with it? But again, if we get into the situation again and kids have to enter through different doors in the buildings, some of them, if the sidewalks aren't properly, you know, if they're not in good condition, we can't use various entrances or exits either. So some other things are like door replacements, auditorium AC compressors. So for instance, in this building, we have an AC compressor that's not working. There's a few of them, but one of them is not. Various things, drinking fountains are another big one. So we've been replacing the drinking fountains sporadically. If at this building, we have the bottle filling stations, we don't at some of the other buildings. We're just gonna do one time, replace all of them. That's a big thing. At the OIMS building, they don't have the bottle filling stations. So it's not all of them, I'm sorry. Not all of them. So unfortunately, they're not everywhere.
we do want to make it all uniform.
Correct, absolutely. So the other things, AC units, air handling units in the library, various things like that. So this is the first round of them that we're doing. The remainder of them we will be building into,
The capital project.
we'll be building into the third round of the federal
Third.
funding.
All right.
Yep. And then tentatively, we have here fitness center equipment. So for those of you, you know that at this building, our kids had no in-person physical education for the entire year. So we have a lot of ground to make up. We feel this is an opportunity to take advantage of that and really boost some of our programs, whether it be wellness. You know, the phys ed department's been great about thinking creatively. What can we do? Could it be classes in the morning? Could it be different opportunities for not just athletes, but for any type of kids that want to come in and do a lot more physical fitness, get healthier, things like that. So we're looking at this. Again, we have tentative. This is the one area that, you know, as we write the grant application, they'll probably ask for more justification for that. So this is a quick scope of what we're looking at for round 2 of the federal funding.
Okay. Nice job.
And just one more thing with the superintendent's report is that I want to thank Mr. Martell and Mr. Brooks. They went over to Bradner Stadium to look about graduation, and they just started to study the situation, and we just think we'll be a lot better served on our own in our own stadium over here. It can work out a lot better. There's a lot more technology. We just believe it's going to be better for the community. There's a lot more parking. Handicap accessibility is much better. So they're in the stages along with Mark Kuzelstein too, to shift that. And we'll be probably notifying parents. Should it rain, we're going to look in a plan maybe, and we're probably going to be able, if it's sunny, we're probably going to be expand the number of people that can come to the festivities. If it rains and the whole weekend looks like a drencher, we'll probably, right now, we're giving out 2 tickets and we could possibly be in here. So it's a bit of a crapshoot. The guidelines and rules are changing daily. So I just want to make you aware that change is probably coming down pretty soon.
Okay, does anybody else? Nothing, that's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, no, you're good. So on to new business. I need a motion to authorize up to 80 summer days for the high school and intermediate middle school guidance counselors.
So moved.
Thanks, Jim.
Second,
Thanks, Paul.
I'd just like to
Is
speak
there
this
any
really,
discussion?
yeah, I'm
Okay, go
sorry,
ahead,
just
no.
real quick. I'd like to speak this. So every year we do this. This is 80 hours for all the guidance counselors.
80
I-
hours?
80 hours,
sorry.
or it says
Yes.
days.
80 days, I'm sorry. Thank
80
you.
hours.
So 80 days, but we've also gone to Matt and Treehouse and explained to him that, if they need more, we have monies for that through, stimulus money. So we know that this is what we've offered in the past, but the guidance counselors know that this is going to be an extraordinary summer. And so we want them to know that, if they can come to us and justify why they need it. And I don't think we're going to be too tough on them. And, but I just wanted to let you know that we know that this is what's been done in the past, and we know it's going to take more than that. So if you'll,
You think it's gonna take more than the 80 days?
it will, but they're allowed to come to us for those.
So it's 80 days divided between 8 counselors, so it's 10
Yeah.
days per counselor. Yeah.
Work 80 days, you would also.
And next summer too.
Maybe into September.
Is there-
But
Is there any other discussion, Paul? Do you have something else?
yes, I was wondering if we're going to try to build in some counseling time for students among our regular guidance counselors. I mean, because I know normally most of their time is spent in simply scheduling.
Mhm.
And
And that's why we would definitely offer them, if they come to us and say they need more hours, we're definitely gonna give that. And just so you know, I know that the guidance department in all our schools throughout the district worked overtime to keep kids engaged, and it was a thankless job, but they did a great job. So, yeah, we know that we definitely have them, and they do already. They go into classrooms, they reach out to families, so that will continue. But yeah, could we use guidance counselors if they wanted to over the 80 days to do, some group work too and hold some sessions? That would be wonderful.
Is that built into this grant?
Is that anything with that?
We can, and that's one of the things that we've talked about for the round 3 is not just for our current counselors, but really there's a need for additional like psychologists and even people in different realms and different positions.
Social workers
Mhm.
and any.
Yep, exactly.
I'll just put a plug out for Lily's guidance counselor, Ms. Frisina, is amazing. She's like so great at always getting back, and I know she does a lot. So I'm just, is that just what, my question is this, so 80 days, we knew, last year, if we already know it's going to be a little bit more, why didn't we try to see if we could do more?
I think
I'm just asking.
If we had a motion on the floor, we could amend it to
yeah,
increase it to 80, and I would support that. I'm not quite sure what the magic number would be.
I just wondered if we
60, but
thought we were going to need more, like why we wouldn't
is
just,
that- I think we should authorize the superintendent, said,
Yeah.
have the resources they need, especially this summer. And if 80 was mentioned for last year before.
It's a starting point.
yeah, we may,
Pick a number.
Right.
right. And then look at adding more in with the additional funding, something like that too as well. Yeah.
We've done that in the past too. I mean, during summers, we've had guidance counselors come to me and ask for more time, and we make sure they get that. So.
we may need an MOA then.
Well, how about for now, we just do a resolution that we'll fund up to 120 hours and.
120 days.
120
I'm
days.
sorry. It's 120 days.
I know.
And then if an MOU is needed, we can. entertain
Yeah,
that.
can we,
Then at least you'll
can we
use the
up that?
Sure.
So-
Just amend it.
Jim and Paul would have to amend that. Right?
Okay. Are Jim and Paul, are you okay with increasing that right now? I just,
I can't, what do you? think?
I
No?
would, but it's like, oh,
Well.
why don't we let them,
I think
let the
we need
experts
to
communicate?
Amend it and then
Yeah.
vote on the amendment and then,
Or what you're saying is you just
is
want to
that
leave
right,
it at 80?
John?
Well, no, I mean, we could change it, but I mean, it's up to them to come to us to, you know, do you need more hours? And I mean, if we, honestly, if we feel a need, leave it at the discretion of the superintendent up to, I guess.
What was that, John? John?
Do you want to make it that
I
high?
think- I think Jim is saying he would prefer to just keep it at, he
Why don't we
made
keep
the
it? 'Cause we can
motion.
make the adjustment.
He made the motion and he would. rather
We
just
can
keep it.
always bring a
Yeah.
resolution at the next
I just,
meeting.
when we say that and then we say, but we know that they're gonna need more anyways,
Yeah.
that, to me, that seems silly, then why are we?
Because we're gonna
Why do we
have,
have a motion
look, we're
for
gonna have
80
another
days?
meeting in 2 weeks, so if we want to, you know, up it at that time after there's some
Yeah.
communication.
All right, yeah, so
Just-
I think I think we all are on the same page. Let's just call for the vote and we can
Move along.
move
That's great.
along. Yep. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that motion is carried. We'll look at that if they need more.
Absolutely.
Now I'm sad to have to say that I need a motion to accept the resignation with deep regret and sadness of our board member, Frank Steffen. And it was retroactive back to June 2nd. May I have a motion for that? John, thank you. Ira, do you okay with Ira? Is there any discussion?
Well, Frank, thanks for your years of service and he will be missed, his wisdom and guidance, and it's unfortunate that he is.
But we understand.
Yeah, we do.
We understand and.
Are we going to be addressing this vacancy in executive session?
We will be discussing it.
There
I
will
put
be
in the,
discussion.
Red and gold, I think are options.
Yeah.
We will.
We don't have to make a decision tonight, we just, because there's a lot of options on the table here anyway.
And we have a lot on our plate right now as well, so.
Right.
Is there any other discussion on the resignation? No? Okay, I'm gonna call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Now we're to personnel. We have an unpaid leave of absence for Vivian Klein. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew.
Second.
Thank you, Kelly. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We have a teacher aide retirement with a deep regret for Denise Freubel.
Moved.
Thanks, Jim.
Second.
Thanks, Janine. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We have another resignation of Rhea Holland, teacher aide. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We have another resignation, a teacher aide, Christine Walker. May I have a motion?
Sure.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, Andrew. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Now we've got some tenures that we are going to be awarding tonight. So I need a motion for Jared Bell, who is certified in social studies.
So moved.
Thanks, Paul and Janine. Any discussion?
Is this photo op night or we're not doing that tonight?
We're doing a photo for the team, people, are people here for the tenure?
No, they're not, I don't believe they're here. Jared's
Okay.
not here, is he?
Okay.
They're not, nobody's here? Okay, gotcha. All right, so I have to call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We are also awarding Jana Davis, granted tenure in the school counselor tenure area. May I have a motion? Thank you, Kelly.
Second.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Lisa Kranz, who's certified in the music tenure area. Love Miss Kranz.
Yeah, Lisa is here.
Nice.
So
Thank you, Ira. Got off track there. Thank you, Andrew. Any discussion?
Does she want her picture taken?
Yeah, we do.
All right.
All those, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Thank you.
Congratulations.
We also are awarding it to Erin Myers, who is certified in the library media specialist tenure area. May I have a motion for that? Thanks, Janine, and I will take you, Andrew, with the second. Any discussion? All right, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We have our own Laura Moore, who is certified in the math tenure area. May I have a motion?
Moved.
Thank you, Jim.
Second.
Thank you, Kelly. Any discussion?
Not for
You
me.
got anything? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. And also Sarah Morris, who is certified in the elementary tenure area. Need a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Janine.
Second.
Thank you, Andrew. Is there any discussion? Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. And I also need now a motion to appoint Barbara Kelly to the English Language Arts area. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew.
Second.
Thank you, Paul. Any discussion? That name should ring a bell with you. She's been with us and she left. Now she's back. I do have, this would be a good time, wouldn't it, Erin? I do have something. She couldn't be here this evening, but she did write something to us, Dear Olean City School District Board of Education. I apologize that I can't be present at this evening's board meeting, but I want to offer my sincere gratitude in being approved for the ELA position for the 2022 school year. I'm thrilled to be welcomed back to Olean City School District to join the talented and hardworking team of educators. I'm extremely fortunate to again have the opportunity to be a part of the Husky family, and I'm eager to contribute to the mission of the Olean City School District in working toward educating the students of Olean, and I'm looking forward to September. Thank you, Barbara Kelly.
Nice.
So that was very, very nice. So did I already, did we already vote?
No, we haven't
Okay,
voted.
Actually, you want to get off on my schedule here.
Kelly's got.
I had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Kelly.
Is this filling a vacancy that we've had like all year, or is this filling the
She
vacancy?
actually left us in February
Oh, and she's coming back.
and she's coming, yes.
So she's filling her own vacancy.
Is that right, Erin? Filling that, because we didn't actually fill it. And so now we're filling it now with herself again.
So this other English on this page is a completely additional.
That's something totally different.
Actually, that is the position.
Oh, it was the
That is
position.
the position, yes.
Oh, okay. So we're filling it right now
Yeah,
with that.
From a
So
funding.
check that box.
So Kelly, good catch on that.
Okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Now that motion is carried. We have a teacher aide appointment, Bridget Duval, to a 10-month teacher aide position. Thank you, John.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We need a motion to appoint Jacqueline Reed to a 12-month full-time keyboard specialist position.
So moved.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Ira. Any discussion?
I'm a little confused. She is changing positions or,
I think she's going from 11 months to 12 months.
oh, okay.
So, yeah. Is there any other discussion? Okay, well, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. We also need a motion to approve Renee, or to appoint Renee O'Connell to the Olean High School Master Scheduler. All right, thanks, John.
Second.
Jim. Thank you. Any discussion on this?
A lot of work for thousands.
It's a lot of work for $1,000,
Yeah.
yes. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. You see, we have summer school. We have the appointments for the following individuals, secondary, intermediate, and elementary school. You all can see all of them. May I have a motion to appoint them? Thanks, Janine.
Second.
Thanks, Jim. Is there any discussion on this?
I mean, I'm kind of hoping that this number might be expanded if we're trying to add enrichment programs and things that we're receiving funding for.
I think
Correct.
we are all hoping that, yes. Yep, we're, because a lot of these are names that that are, especially
Normally,
the
yeah.
secondary summer school, these are names that we appoint almost every year. Same people. So, but I am excited to see the special education, because oftentimes we would do that through BOCES. And this year, we're gonna actually have some of our own teachers here. That's awesome for our kids. That's huge. And then, of course, at the other school levels. But yes, certainly, I'm hoping at the elementary, in the middle school level to see.
I just wonder, are all of these current employees?
Yes. Was there any other discussion on that?
We don't hire anyone out of district anymore?
Well, we might,
Yeah, we might.
we may need to.
As needed, Paul.
I mean, obviously, we put
Right.
it out to our teachers first. But depending on.
Yeah,
the
I'm just a little
response.
bit surprised that everyone is a current employee in the district.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Right. Is there any other discussion? Okay, so I will call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. And the next motion is for the following OESPA appointments. So our summer school teacher aides and the special education teacher aides. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Thanks, Jim.
Second.
Thanks, Kelly. Now, is there any discussion on that?
I'm wondering why we have as needed. That means that they're on call or what?
I don't know what that means. What does that mean? So the hope is that we are going to need them all. Thank you to all of them. It helps tremendously. That helps when you see,
Absolutely.
what was that, Janine?
I do think it helps to have aides in the classroom if we're trying to transition kids back to being in school.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I appreciate the willingness of you to be.
I know. They always
Absolutely.
do a great job for us. Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. You see the list of informational items, meetings that will be coming up. Mr. Moore, we do have a need for executive session.
Yep, we have
For the
a personnel
purpose.
matter and then negotiations. And I can't,
Also possibly board vacancy.
Yeah. There's that.
I don't know, that might be public.
Yeah.
I think we should have that. for
Yeah,
public
I don't know if that's. Yeah, so I don't think,
I think we might be talking individuals.
No, yeah, we want to have a
Well,
discussion
right,
on
we
that.
want to.
Not
I want
tonight.
to talk about the process.
discussion.
first,
Yeah, I think
think.
first talk about the process.
Yeah, make sure
publicly.
that the process is there.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't really think
We have
that's,
three choices in this case.
yeah. So just personnel negotiations, who would you like to vote in? Or I mean, bring in? What the heck?
You got voted in. So I'm gonna need Jenny Bellata and Aaron Wolf. And then we're gonna pick up Pam Kirkwood on the way. We're gonna go over to the board room
Okay,
and I believe that's it.
so I need a motion for personnel negotiations and those people that Mr. Moore just mentioned joining us. Thank you, John.
Second, go ahead.
Thanks, Janine. Any discussion?
There,
Okay, all those,
there could be action taken after executive session. when
Okay.
they come out.
okay, there might be one, okay. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so that motion is carried. We'll go into executive session, but we want to get a picture with Ms. Cron and her
Absolutely. Why don't you
tenure.
get with